Hi guys and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Milka Bogdanovna Iovovich, born on December 17, 1975, also known as Mila Iovovich, American actress and model. Her starring roles in numerous science fiction and action films led the music channel VH1 to deem her the reigning queen of kick butt in 2006, and in 2004 Forbes determined that she was the highest paid model in the world. Born in Kiev and raised in Los Angeles, Jovovich began modeling when her parents photographed her for the cover of the Italian magazine Lei in 1987. Richard Avedon featured her in Revlon's Most Unforgettable Women in the World advertisement. In 1988, Jovovich made her screen debut in the television film The Night Train to Kathmandu and appeared in the first feature film Two Moon Junction. Jovovich gained attention for her role in the 1991 romance film Return to the Blue Lagoon, as she was 15 years old at the time. She was considered to have a breakthrough with her role in the 1997 French science fiction action film The Fifth Element, written and directed by Luc Besson. She and Besson married that year but soon divorced. She starred as the heroine and martyr in Besson's The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc in 1999. From 2002 to 2016, Jovovich portrayed Alice in the action horror film franchise Resident Evil, which became the highest grossing film series to be based on video games. Jovovich released a debut album, The Divine Comedy, in 1994 and a follow-up, The People 3 Sessions, in 1998. She continues to release demos for other songs on her official website and frequently contributes to film soundtracks. In 2003, model Carmen Hawk and she created the clothing line Iovovich Hawk, which ran until 2008. Iovovich has her own production company, Creature Entertainment. Iovovich was born on December 17, 1975 in Kiev, Ukraine, the daughter of Galina, a Russian actress, and Bogdan Jovovich, a Serbian actor. Her maternal ancestors were from the Russian city of Tula. She spent most of her early childhood in Moscow, her mother's native city, and says she was born in Ukraine pretty much by accident. While she has no memories of her early years in Ukraine, Jovovich says she remembers a lot about her life in Russia. In 1980, when Iovovich was 5 years old, her family left the Soviet Union and emigrated to London. They subsequently emigrated to Sacramento, California, settling in Los Angeles 7 months later. Mila's parents divorced soon after their arrival in Los Angeles. In 1988, her father had a relationship with an Argentine woman and they had a son, Marko Jovovich. Due to her parents' divorce, years before, Iovovich saw little of her half-brother. In Los Angeles, her mother tried to get acting jobs but found little success because of language barriers and eventually resorted to cleaning houses to earn money. Both parents served as cooks and housekeepers for director Brian De Palma. Her father was convicted and imprisoned for participating in the largest health insurance fraud ever investigated. He was given a 20-year sentence in 1994, but was released in 1999 after serving 5 years. According to Iovovich, prison was good for him. He's become a much better person. It gave him a chance to stop and think. Iovovich attended public schools in Los Angeles, becoming fluent in English in 3 months. In school, she was teased by classmates for coming from the Soviet Union. I was called a commie and a Russian spy. I was never accepted into the crowd. At age 12, Jovovich left 7th grade to focus on modeling, which she had started at age 9. She has said she was rebellious during her early teens, engaging in drug use, shopping mall vandalism, and credit card fraud. In 1994, she became a naturalized American citizen at the age of 19. Jovovich's mother had raised her to be a movie star. In 1985, Galina Luginova enrolled Jovovich at the age of 10 in acting classes, and when her acting jobs picked up, she started attending school for young actors rather than regular school. In 1988, Jovovich appeared in her debut professional film role as Samantha de Longpre in the romantic thriller Two Moon Junction. Later that year, she appeared in the made-for-television film as Lily MacLeod in The Night Train to Kathmandu. She had several roles in television series including Paradise in 1988, Married with Children in 1989, and Parker Lewis Can't Lose in 1990. At the age of 15, she was cast as the lead in Return to the Blue Lagoon in 1991 opposite Brian Krause. Given her age and beauty, she was often compared to Brooke Shields, another child model turned actress who had starred in The Blue Lagoon in the 80s. The role was controversial as, like Shields, Jovovich appeared nude in the film. Jovovich was nominated for Best Young Actress starring in a Motion Picture as the 1991 Young Artist Awards and Worst New Star at the 1991 Golden Raspberry Awards. In 1992, Iovovich co-starred with Christian Slater in the comedy Cuffs. Later that year, she portrayed Mildred Harris in the Charlie Chaplin's biographical film Chaplin. In 1993, she acted in Richard Linklater's film Dazed and Confused. She played Michelle Burrows, the on-screen girlfriend to Pickford, played by her then-boyfriend Sean Andrews. Strongly featured in promotions for the film, Jovovich was upset to find her role much reduced in the released film. Discouraged, she took a hiatus from acting roles, moving to Europe. Jovovich returned to acting in 1997 with a lead role in the French science fiction action film The Fifth Element alongside Bruce Willis and Gary Oldman. This was written and directed by Luc Besson. She portrayed Lilu, an alien who helps to save the planet. Jovovich said she worked like hell, no band practice, no clubs, no pot, nothing, to acquire the role and impress Besson. Jovovich co-created and mastered an alien fictional language of over 400 words for her role. She wore a costume that came to be known as the Ace Bandage costume. The bodysuit designed by Jean-Paul Gaultier was made of medical bandages. The Fifth Element was selected as the opening film for the 1997 Cannes Film Festival, and its worldwide box office gross was over 263,000 million, more than 3 times its budget of 80 million. The Fifth Element was often praised for its visual style. Critic James Berardinelli wrote, Jovovich makes an impression, although her effectiveness has little to do with acting and less to do with dialogue. Jovovich was nominated for Favorite Female Newcomer at the Blockbuster Entertainment Awards and Best Fight at the MTV Movie Awards. The film inspired a video game and a Planet Lilu action figure, but the figure was never released due to licensing problems. In a 2013 interview, Jovovich said Lilu was her favorite role. In 1998, Jovovich appeared in Spike Lee's drama He Got Game as abused prostitute Dakota Burns. She acted with Denzel Washington and Ray Allen. In 1999, she appeared in the music video for the song If You Can't Say No by Lenny Kravitz. That year, she returned to the acting genre, playing the title role in The Messenger, the story of Joan Arc, under the direction of Luc Besson. She cut her hair short and wore armor in several extensive battle scenes. Jovovich received generally good reviews for her performance. The historical drama did moderately well at the box office, gaining 66 million worldwide. In the 2000s, Jovovich appeared as the troubled Eloise in The $1 Million Hotel, a film based on a concept story by Bono of the band U2 and Nicholas Klein. Directed by Wim Wenders, Jovovich starred alongside Jeremy Davis and Mel Gibson. She provided vocals on the film's soundtrack. That year she also played bar owner Lucia in the British western film The Claim. This was followed by a supporting role as the evil Katinka in the comedy Zoolander. In 2002, Iovovich starred in the horror-action film Resident Evil, released in the United States on March 15, 2002, and based on the Capcom video game series of the same name. She portrayed Alice, the film's heroine who fights a legion of zombies created by the Umbrella Corporation. Iovovich had accepted the role because she and her mother and her brother Marco had been fans of the video game franchise. Iovovich had performed all the stunts required in the film except for a scene that would involve her jumping to a cement platform which her management deemed too dangerous and had trained in karate, kickboxing and combat training. The film was commercially successful, grossing 17 million on its opening weekend. It eventually made 40 million domestically and 102 million worldwide. Later she portrayed the manipulative gang wife Erin in No Good Deed, Nadine in the romantic comedy You Stupid Man, punk rocker Fangora in Dummy, and provided a guest voice on the television series King of the Hill. The role of Fangora in Dummy allowed Iovovich to act in the film with Oscar-winning Adrien Brody, who was a friend prior to filming. Iovovich found it easy to identify with this role because she felt Fangora possessed similar qualities to the actress's own life. In 2004, Iovovich reprised the role of Alice in the sequel of Resident Evil Apocalypse. The role required her to do fight training for 3 hours a day, in addition to the 3 months prior to filming in which she had gun training, martial arts, and everything. Apocalypse received even more negative reactions from the critics than the first film, but it was an even greater commercial success, ranking number 1 at the box office, unlike the first film. Following the release of the film, Iovovich was unhappy with the critical results and director Alexander Witt's effort. She noted during an interview that year that her large action films take care of the commercial part of her career, while she acts in independent little films that never come out to appease her artistic side, and it's a good balance. The following year, she was featured in Gore's Vidal's Fox trailer remake of Caligula as Drusilla. In 2006, Iovovich's film, the science fiction action thriller Ultraviolet, was released on March 3rd. She played the title role of Violet's song Jad Sharif, a role that also involved heavily choreographed fight sequences. It was not screened for critics, but when reviewed it was critically panned and failed at the box office, grossing 31 million worldwide. Also in 2006, Iovovich starred in 45 as Kat, the revenge-driven girlfriend of an illegal gun and drug dealer, with Scottish actor and DJ Angus McFadden. In 2007, Iovovich reprised her role as Alice in Resident Evil Extinction, the third of the Resident Evil series. The film grossed an estimated 24 million on its opening weekend, topping the box office gross for that week. In 2009, Iovovich starred in David Twohy's A Perfect Getaway, and Kiel Sanchez, Timothy Olyphant, and Steve Zahn also played in the movie. The film is a thriller about a newlywed couple, Mila and Zahn, on their honeymoon in Hawaii. Reviews for the film were mostly positive, while The Hollywood Reporter felt that Iovovich gave a fairly subtle performance. The Globe and Mail noted that she and Kiel Sanchez managed to bring some dramatic tension to the frightened girlfriend moments. A Perfect Getaway garnered modest box office return. Iovovich starred in the science fiction thriller The Fourth Kind as a psychologist in Alaska who uses hypnosis to uncover memories from her patients of alien abduction. While the film was largely panned by critics, it made 47 million in cinemas worldwide. In 2010, Iovovich returned as Alice in the fourth movie of the Resident Evil series, Afterlife, which was directed by her husband Paul Anderson and portrayed the mother of a promiscuous and troubled high school student in the independent coming-of-age dramedy Dirty Girl, which premiered at the Toronto Film Festival opposite Juno Temple, William H. Macy, Maurice Steenburgen, and Tim McGraw. In its review for the later film, The Hollywood Reporter found Iovovich to be terrific in what it described as a sweet and sassy period comedy with a Juno sensibility and the soul of a Little Miss Sunshine. Iovovich played the wife of a jailed arsonist in Stone, a psychological thriller co-starring Robert De Niro and Edward Norton. Filming began in May 2009 at the recently closed Southern Michigan Correctional Facility in Jackson, Michigan. The film was released in late 2010 to a mixed response. Nevertheless, the AV Club noted that Iovovich was particularly good as a pretty femme fatale who seduced De Niro with a mere change in inflection. Iovovich starred in Paul Anderson's romantic action comedy adventure film The Three Musketeers as Milady de Winter in 2011, alongside Matthew McFadden, Logan Lerman, Ray Stevenson, Luke Evans, Orlando Bloom, and Christoph Waltz. After the lackluster response for Musketeers, Iovovich criticized Summit Entertainment for not promoting the film properly as a family film in the United States. Deadline Hollywood reported that Summit responded, "She doesn't know what she's talking about and we don't know where she's coming from." She would next headline the little-seen psychological thriller Faces in the Crowd, which was written and directed by Julian McNutt. In it, she plays the survivor of a serial killer's attack that leaves her suffering from a condition called prosopagnosia, which renders her unable to recognize faces. Sight and Sound remarked that the film suffered from a central performance not quite strong enough to win Jovovich recognition as a dramatic actress. Also in 2011, Jovovich appeared as Ukrainian con artist Famke Janssen's directorial debut film Bringing Up Bobby, alongside Marsha Cross, and starred in the romantic comedy Lucky Trouble, which was her Russian-language film debut. She returned to her role as Alice in the fifth installment of Resident Evil for Resident Evil Retribution, which was released on September 14, 2012. She played an ambitious woman and the second wife of the leader of a motorcycle club in 2014's Cymbeline, a film's version of the eponymous play by William Shakespeare, and in 2015's Survivor, she took on the role of a diplomatic security service foreign service officer at the US Embassy in London. Both films received video-on-demand release in North America despite theatrical runs abroad. Jovovich made a cameo appearance reprising the role of villain Katinka in 2016's Zoolander 2. Resident Evil The Final Chapter 2016, the sixth and final film of the Resident Evil franchise, starred Jovovich as Alice as she continues her vengeance against Umbrella for the death of her allies and the catastrophe they have caused. Time Out, in its review for the film, noted, "While the franchise has slackened into dependably dumb post-apocalyptic thrills, star Mila Jovovich has only gotten better, seasoning her long-legged athleticism with a commanding stare." The Final Chapter was the highest-grossing film in the franchise, earning over $312 million worldwide. In Shock and Awe 2017, Iovovich played the wife of an investigator working on the reasons behind the Bush administration's 2003 invasion of Iraq, starring opposite Woody Harrelson and Tommy Lee Jones. In Future World 2018, she obtained the role of a drug lord alongside James Franco, who also directed the film. While reviewers felt Iovovich was underused in shock and awe, Future World holds a 0% approval rating on review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, based on 9 reviews. Iovovich starred as the administrator of an island-bound reform school in the fantasy film Paradise Hills in 2019, the directorial debut of Alice Waddington. She also played the evil Vivienne Nimue, the Blood Queen, in the Hellboy reboot movie released in 2019. Iovovich had also begun working on a music album as early as 1988 when she was signed by SBK Records after the company heard a demo she recorded. In August 1990, she asserted in an interview for the then forthcoming album would be a mix between Kate Bush, Sinead O'Connor, This Mortal Coil, and the Cocteau Twins. After it was initially presented by SBK strictly as a pop album, Iovovich protested, insisting on using her personal poetry for lyrics and recording her own instrumental material. Iovovich had written the lyrics and composed the music of the songs when she was 15, with the exception of a Ukrainian folk song In a Glade that she covered. In April 94, billed under her first name, she released The Divine Comedy, a title that was a reference to the epic poem by Dante Alighieri of the same name. Iovovich had chosen the title after seeing Russian artist Alexis Steele's proposed cover artwork sketch for the then untitled album. Iovovich found that the sketch had all the struggle that I'm singing about. It is The Divine Comedy. The Divine Comedy was well received by critics and featured pop-infused traditional Ukrainian folk song that led to comparisons with musicians Tori Amos and Kate Bush. John McAuley of Rolling Stones called the album remarkable, strikingly mature and rich in invention, and as featuring amongst laced poetry with vivid melodies and arrangements that find a common spirit in synth-pop, European folk, and psychedelic dream rock. Iovovich released the track The Gentleman Who Fell Before the Court with an accompanying music video as the sole single from the album. The music video was originally directed by Lisa Bonet and featured Harry Dean Stanton, but Iovovich, unsatisfied with the result, decided to film another video. The second video for The Gentleman Who Fell, a homage to Maya Deren, was directed by Kate Garner and Paul Arcart and was subsequently played on MTV. Iovovich toured the United States and Canada during most of '94 to promote the album, opening the Toad the Wet, Sprocket, The Philosopher's King, and Crash Test Dummies, as well as playing smaller acoustic sets. Iovovich had opted to perform in smaller and more intimate settings, turning down a musical appearance on Saturday Night Live. She also has been collaborating musically with longtime friend and musician Chris Brenner, who co-wrote with her on the Divine Comedy album and who was the musical coordinator for the supporting tour. She and Brenner met in '93 and have since worked together on several ventures. Following the Divine Comedy, she expressed interest in releasing a second album, having had 10 songs ready for future recording that was intended for a summer of '96 release. Despite the appearance of a lo-fi field recording, the People 3 sessions in '98, Iovovich had yet to release a second album as of the late winter and early spring of 2022. In May 1999, Iovovich, along with Chris Brenner, formed an experimental band called Plastic Has Memory, in which she wrote and composed the songs, sang and played electric guitar. The band was much heavier and darker than the vocally Ukrainian folk-sounding elements of her first album, and it had a similar sound to a grunge and trip-hop Portishead. Plastic Has Memories played about a dozen shows in Los Angeles and New York City for a potential Virgin Records album release, one of which Mick Jagger had attended. But though Plastic Has Memory was featured on Hollywood Goes Wild, a benefit celebrity compilation album. The group never formally released on any albums and had disbanded as of 2021. Iovovich has contributed tracks to several of her film soundtracks, including The $1 Million Hotel in 2000, Dummy in 2002, and has also provided songs for the soundtracks of films in which she has not acted, such as Underworld 2003, produced by musicians Daniel Lohner, and was the bass player in Nine Inch Nails for many years. Her song The Gentleman Who Fell was featured on the Rules of Attraction soundtrack in 2002. In 2001, Iovovich was one of many celebrities whose vocals were featured in the cover of We Are Family to raise money for the American Red Cross. She has appeared as guest vocalist on the song Former Lover on Deepak Chopra's album A Gift of Love, Oceans of Ecstasy, and Legion of Boom by the Crystal Method. Beginning of 2003, Iovovich commenced to work with musicians Maynard James Keenan of Two and A Perfect Circle on his industrial side project Pussifer, contributing vocals to the track Rev 2220, which was featured on various films' soundtracks in its original or a remixed form. As of January 2009, she can be heard collaborating with Maynard and Danny Lohner on the Pussifer track called The Mission. She also performed the song at the first live Pussifer performance on February 13, 2009 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Danny Lohner and longtime music collaborator Chris Brenner currently continue to record and perform with Iovovich, who has made several highly praised appearances in recent years. A new single called Electric Sky was released on May 18, 2012 and presented at the Live Ball. In 2017, she collaborated in the single Attention of Ernest Shalupin. Iovovich continues to write songs, which she refers to as demos, and which are provided for free in MP3 format on her official website. She provides license to freely download and remix the tracks, but reserves the right to sell and issue them. It was Iovovich's early work with her Brits Richard Avedon and Peter Lindbergh that led to her success in advertising, bringing the young model contracts. Since then, she has been featured on more than 100 magazine covers, including Vogue, Cosmopolitan, Elle, Glamour, Marie Claire, Harper's Bazaar, and GQ. She has worked for Balmain, Versace, Fendi, Trussardi, Alessandro Del Acqua, Costume National, Iceberg, Anna Sui, Dries Van Noten, Anna de Mercer, Marc Jacobs, Miu Miu, Salvatore Ferragamo, and many more. Also, she has been part of campaigns for Banana Republic, Christian Dior, Gina Choo, Prada, Isabel Marant, Celine, Guess, Chanel, and many more. Since 1998, Iovovich has been an international spokesmodel for L'Oreal Cosmetics. She was referred to in a minor cameo in Bret Easton Ellis' novel Glamourama, a satire of society's obsession with celebrities and beauty. Iovovich, who said to be designer Miuccia Prada's muse in 2002, a 2003 article claimed she was Gianni Versace's favorite supermodel. In 2004, Iovovich topped Forbes magazine's richest supermodels in the world list, earning a reported $10.5 million, and in 2006, Iovovich was picked up by Mango, a Spanish clothing line, as their new spokesmodel and is featured in their advertising campaigns. She can also be seen in adverts for Etro. She has said that modeling was never a priority and that the money she earns enables her to be selective about the creative decisions she makes. In 2012, she was hired as the new face of a global advertising campaign for wristwatch and jewelry retailer Jacob & Co. In 2018, Iovovich became the face of a global advertising campaign for Balmain. And in 2019, she joined more than 100 models who signed a petition to help protect Victoria's Secret models against sexual misconduct. She and fellow model Carmen Hawk launched a line of clothing called Iovovich Hawk in 2003. The pair opened a showroom in New York City, Greenwich Village on September 13, 2005. All of the dresses for Iovovich Hawk line were designed by herself and her partner Carmen Hawk. The atelier is based in Los Angeles, but pieces could be found at Fred Segal in Los Angeles, Harvey Nichols, and over 50 stores around the world. Vogue praised the line for its girl about town code status most designers spent years trying to achieve. In November 2006, the Council of Fashion Designers of America (SFDA) and US Vogue nominated Iovovich Hawk for the SVDA Vogue Fashion Fund Award. Iovovich Hawk was nominated as a finalist, although Dory Chung took the top prize. In 2007, Iovovich and Hawk designed the costume for Iovovich's character in Resident Evil Extinction. The shorts her Resident Evil character wear are a variation on the Alice Star shorts from the Spring 2007 collection. Later, Iovovich Hawk signed a deal to design a diffusion collection for Target's Go International campaign, following in the footsteps of Luella, Paul and Joe, and Proenza Scholler. In late 2008, Iovovich and Hawk mutually agreed to end the business due to increased demands on their time. Iovovich explained, "I'm an artist, I'm not someone who can deal with shipping rates and taxes." Iovovich has been noted for her careers as a model, singer, and actress. Music channel VH1 has referred to her as the reigning queen of kick butt for her roles in various sci-fi and action films, and Rebecca Flint Marks of Allmovie said that despite the negative critical response for the Resident Evil films, the franchise has turned Iovovich into an A-lister action star. Her action roles have given her a geek following for which MTV said she was every geek's dream girl. In 2004, Iovovich was ranked number 69 on Maxim's magazine's Top 100 Hot list, ranked number 82 in 2005, and ranked number 21 in 2010. Maxim also named her number 11 on their list of hottest nerd crushes. In 2008, she was ranked number 90 on Ask Men's Top 99 Women of 2008. In 2011, Iovovich attended and sang at the birthday celebration of Mikhail Gorbachev. The actress also gave a speech in which she thanked Gorbachev, saying that when she and her family left the Soviet Union in the 80s, they were sure that they would never see their relatives again, and that thanks to him, they have been reunited. Iovovich married on-screen boyfriend Sean Andrews in '92 while filming Dazed and Confused together. Andrews was 21 while Iovovich was 16. The marriage was annulled by her mother 2 months later. Shortly after the annulment, Iovovich moved to Europe with her friend and musician Chris Brenner, where she met and then lived with her new boyfriend, ex-Jamiroquai bassist Stuart Zender, in London from May '94 to October '95. She married the Fifth Element director Luc Besson in '97 in Las Vegas, where they went skydiving directly after the ceremony. They divorced in 1999. In the 2000s, she briefly dated then Red Hot Chili Peppers guitarist John Frusciante, saying she fell in love with him after hearing his album Neanderthalates and Usually Just a T-shirt 6 years earlier. Between 1980 and 2000s, she befriended the young poet and musician Anno Birkin, and each was the other's inspiration behind many of their compositions. Iovovich became involved with Birkin romantically just before his death in a car accident on November 8, 2001. Iovovich met film writer and director Paul Anderson while working on the 2002 film Resident Evil, which Anderson wrote and directed and in which Iovovich starred. Anderson proposed to Iovovich in 2003 and the two were engaged on and off for 4 years, before becoming a couple again early in 2007. They married on August 22nd, 2009. On November 3rd, 2007, Iovovich gave birth to their first child daughter, Eva Anderson, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, California. Their second child, daughter Dashiell Edan, was born on April 1st, 2015, also at the same medical center. In 2019, Iovovich revealed she was pregnant with her third daughter after miscarrying 2 years prior. They welcomed their third daughter, Ocean Lark Elliott, on February 2nd, 2020. Iovovich resides in homes in Los Angeles and New York City. In addition to Russian and English, she also speaks French and Serbian. She was brought up in a Russian household and referred to the role the Russian culture played in her life when she stated in 2005, "I have a Russian mother. She was a famous actress in Russia, Galina Lukinova. And the first books which I read were in Russian. I was raised in the atmosphere of the Russian classical theater school. The art built on the system of Stanislavski, thus the most realistic art. And the modern cinema stands on the same principle. A Russian person wants to find the truth. This is the base of the Russian culture. I never forget it, especially since I have Russian roots." When asked if she still feels Russian after having left Russia at a young age, Iovovich replied, "Definitely, I still speak Russian. I speak it with my daughter. I read her Russian stories and poems. My roots are very important. They make me who I am." Speaking about her early years, Mila noted the importance of education in her life. "My mom raised me in the traditions of her country. For example, I never spent hours sitting before TV and always read a lot, and I believe that education, intellect and intelligence are a huge part of the beauty of Russian women." Iovovich has advocated the legislation of cannabis and appeared in a spread and on the cover of High Times. In an article published in '94, she said that her only vices were cigarettes and cannabis. She practices yoga and meditates often in attempts to live a healthy lifestyle. Although not affiliated with any specific religion, she prays and considers herself a spiritual person. Iovovich also enjoys playing the guitar and writing poems and lyrics for songs. During the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine, which is part of the Russo-Ukrainian War, Iovovich expressed support for Ukraine on her Instagram page. "I'm heartbroken and dumbstruck trying to process the events of this week in my birthplace of Ukraine, my country and people being bombed, friends and family in hiding." Thank you guys for watching with me and diving into the life and career of actress and model Mila Jovovich. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all of her roles, model roles, and further fashion journeys. Thank you for watching again. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Bye!